welcome to the Saturday Night Live Afterparty. This week, we'll be discussing Season 47, Episode 21 of SNL with host Natasha Lyonne and musical guest Japanese Breakfast. I'm Catherine Coleman, and with me this week is NYC comedian Charlotte O'Trimba. You can follow Charlotte on Instagram at Charlotte O'Trimba. You can find me at Catherine is Funny, and if you'd like to connect with the show, you can do so at snlpodcast.com. All right, here we go. Hello, good to see everybody. We had a very emotional-filled episode, just a lot of goodbyes. I cried. I don't know, Charlotte, did you cry?
Teared up for sure. Heavy tears. I'm
willing to go all the way and cry. You're subduing it a little bit. That's okay. You don't have to be vulnerable.
It's all right. Societal pressures got the best of me. Couldn't cry comfortably.
It happens. It happens.
Yep.
But either way, I'm excited to process this with you. And how's it going? It's been a while since you've been on. You doing all right?
I know. It has been a little while. Very excited to be back, especially to talk about this amazing / roller coaster of emotion episode. And definitely excited to dive in because it was such a great send-off, I think, and it was such a great season finale on the whole. So very excited to dive in.
All right, well, let's do it. Woo! For the cold open, Colleen Rafferty says goodbye to planet Earth as Kate McKinnon says goodbye to SNL. Wow. Kate McKinnon, to me, is SNL in so many ways. Because I mentioned this last week. Around the 2016 election is when I really became a diehard SNL fan. I watched it on and off before that, but that's when I became obsessed. And Kate was the reason. She's just magnetic, as a performer. She never missed everything. She just, as soon as she walked on screen, she had my full attention, I just love her so dearly. So it's really sad to see her go. And I think she's just one of the greatest of all time. But at the same time, I've been emotionally preparing for this for 3 years. Every year I'm like, this is the last one. She's leaving. It's time. So I'm ready for it. I was well prepared. And I think it is time for Kate to leave, but it's because the show's in great hands. Aidy and Ego and Chloe are all just phenomenal. And I realize there's other people at the show too, but those are the three that come to mind.
Right.
And so yeah, it's even though I'm ready and I think it's the right choice, it still is the end of an era, and it's so sad. But I love that this is the sketch that they chose to use as her goodbye, because this is her biggest role outside of Hillary Clinton. Obviously, this is the one that everybody knows, and I like that they didn't just put it up this is the one Kate wanted. We're gonna do it one more time. They actually wrote in a goodbye, and I loved that. Did you feel similarly?
I agree on so many points. I felt all the feelings. I think I agree. Kate, especially as you'll feel this way as a fellow woman, comedian, performer, to see her just go commit to character so unabashedly and totally disregard any sort of pressures to be sexy or feminine, which I feel as women, we can still feel those pressures even when we're doing comedy. It was always such a joy to watch her because I felt like she was her freest, truest self, and also just committed so wholeheartedly to such quirky and unique characters, but still felt like her. You know what I mean? I think she just created and grew there and created sort of her own brand of comedy and characters, and also just was clearly such a joy to work with. I mean, you would always see other actors or guests cracking with her, and she would always make people laugh. So I too have felt the same way watching her for years, just feeling like I knew her or wanted to know her so badly because she just emitted such joy, charisma, and quirkiness in the best way, and intelligence. And so, yeah, I felt the same way about this sketch. I mean, this has been a recurring sketch that, I mean, I even watched one in one of my UCB classes. It's been a historic running theme. And so I was also really glad that they did an extended version of this, and the writing was on point. I mean, my God, like calling back some of her usual jokes in there of like, not the worst thing I've done on a Jumbotron.
Yeah.
She would usually make that line about a night or something. And in addition to the callback lines, just, the general themes of something kind of sexual, vaguely, but not, and, the aliens taking advantage of her. And agree, I thought they did this, they sort of wrapped up the running story by sending her off to space. And what a great imaginative and commitment to the world.
Yeah.
And man, like her goodbye, and her live from New York just hit me in the gut. I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, like her starting to tear up is definitely the thing that pushed me over the edge. Because I don't know, I can just so imagine like what that moment must have been. I had a friend that went to the show and he said like, yeah, everyone gave her like a standing ovation like when she like got on the UFO. So like I can imagine like from her perspective, she's given like so much to this and then like to like walk in the UFO and turn around and like everyone's standing for you. Like how do you not be getting emotional in that situation,
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah, like as for like the literal sketch, this is as good as any of the other ones. Like the fact that they keep finding more euphemisms and more rhymes is truly astounding. Like how
incredible.
did they just like there has to be a spreadsheet somewhere of
Yeah.
just like all of the options that they have and they just kind of pull from there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I thought the highlight here was the umpire joke. So she says, I landed like ass up in a field. And he says, and what happened next? And she said, well, the umpire called timeout. And that is so brilliant because she could have just said, like, I landed ass up in the middle of a Mets game. And like that would have been really funny. But to have her say it and then let him set her up for that punchline is just so brilliant. So yeah, I'll take it. Big win for me. But let's keep going.
Woo!
Natasha Lyonne has a funny story to tell us that's kind of like that time Fabio got hit in the face with a bird on a roller coaster, with cameos from Fred Armisen and Maya Rudolph. What'd you think of the monologue?
What a journey. First of all, I love Natasha Lyonne. Like, I love Russian Doll. I've loved everything she's been in. I love her uniqueness. I love her voice. Whole nine. Okay, getting that out of the way. I think she is one of the few guests that I can watch give sort of like an overview of her life and not roll my eyes and be bored. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
First of all, she has such great charisma and sort of like was there with the audience, clearly knows how to talk live. And then I don't know. I think also too, like the uniqueness of her life story does have a lot of twists and turns, and she poked fun at herself in a graceful way. And I just thought it was funny, but not funny the whole time, but also sort of like a warning message, right? Like I almost got this like, don't do that many drugs, kids. Like, like do a little for fun, but not this much. And then also just this sort of sweet moment at the end that, she came out okay, came out on top. And yeah, and also I will say another thing I don't usually love are cameos in the monologue, because it's such a short amount of time. And sometimes it just feels like a cop out or feels distracting or, I don't know. I'm never a huge fan, but I felt like these felt genuine. Obviously she's had a relationship with Fred Armisen for years and clearly Maya Rudolph too. So I thought that worked too, because it was brief and fun and they just were all filled with such love for each other that it was a joy to watch. So I thought this monologue was a win. Was I laughing the whole time? No, but I was hooked the entire time. And it felt very her. It felt like Natasha.
Interesting. I think I'm a little bit more mixed on it.
Interesting. Okay.
Because I don't know. I thought it was all right. I liked her. I liked her delivery of everything. But to me, I don't know. Because on one hand, I get it. I get that she wants to have Fred and Maya there. They're her friends. Like that's fun cameo. But I feel like it would have been a stronger monologue if it was just about like her bizarre life story, because I read her Wikipedia this week and it's even crazier
than
she let on. Like we could have gone so much deeper. So yeah, like I don't know. I feel like there could have been a lot more material and it could have felt more focused if it was that. But like I
Yeah.
said, like I get it. She wanted Fred and Maya there, so we're gonna put Fred and Maya there. Whatever. It's at the end of the day, does it really matter? Not really. So
Matters to us, Catherine.
matters to me and me only. But yeah, like and then there were a few moments that felt like the audience wasn't fully on board with her.
Mm.
Like there were like mainly at the end, like she had that line that you said, like, there's always a reason to get back up and keep fighting. And the audience didn't do anything. And it was like
I think
clearly a moment where you were supposed to be like, yeah, and like no one did it. And then like Fred and Maya run back onto clearly what they anticipated was going to be an applause break, and then that didn't happen.
Wow, you're so insightful. I guess I missed that.
I don't know. You were caught up in Natasha,
just under her spell.
So like I don't know, that was sort of weird. And there were like a couple other points where I was like, oh, I don't feel like the audience is necessarily reacting the way that they anticipated they would. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. And I mean, to be fair, like I think it's very hard to follow like Kate McKinnon's goodbye sketch. So like there's that too.
Yeah.
So like there were good moments here. It was funny. It was fine. But it wasn't a home run for me.
Yeah. That's fair.
All right. Well, I'm glad I have your approval. Let's get into our sketch fair. This PSA reminds you to vote, even if you're stupid. Was this a win?
I thought this was a win. I laughed because I was already laughing with the stupid stuff because honestly, sometimes you just need some like good old fashioned like dumb humor kind of like and then when it's the reveal a little bit like a third of the way through the sketch that it's actually a voter commercial, it's all actually like it's a subversive sort of commentary, and it also is sort of like the one downside of like a democracy, or we've all worked to get it so that more people than just white landowning men can vote, and then there's like this downside that there are actually dumb people out there who vote. What can you do? I thought this sketch was a win for a few reasons. One, I just thought it let some of my favorites shine, like Aidy, Bryant, McKinnon. I thought Natasha Lyonne shined. Obviously, Cecily. Like, I thought it was great to just sort of let them be them. And I'm sure there was some ad-libbing in there. And I also just thought it was sort of a very simple concept in a way. And sometimes simple is just best. And I thought it was a very clear-cut sketch, and it left room for some funny one-liners in there. And I really enjoyed the sketch. I thought it was a big win.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked this a lot. I love the concept. I love that it turns out to be a voting ad. I love all of Keenan's lines that are wrong or off topic. Like he is so perfect in those moments. He just cannot be beaten. And then I liked sort of the smaller commentary bits, like James Austin Johnson says, "I only watch one channel and it makes me really mad." And Aidy's character who said, "My son's daughter is a smart person and she's tearing us apart." And I was like, I'm familiar with that. So like I loved it. I think there was a lot to love here. There was so much that was really smart about it in that commentary of like it's such a fun angle to take to the, because you're right, like we all know like there are people that are way too uninformed to actually be voting, but to just like to take that and then turn it into like a PSA of just owning your stupidity is so funny. If I had to be like a little bit nitpicky, I felt like the pacing was maybe a little off. Like the voting part started like halfway through and then it was all about voting. So that was a little weird, but the whole thing was so short. Like it's not a big deal.
And a lot of great details in there too. Like, I don't know if you noticed like Kyle Mooney was also such an unsung hero in this. He was just so funny, like just embodied that confused stupidity state. And then I don't know if you noticed, like his box said fragile and it was upside down, And I'm trying to think, there were some other great little details in there that I took note of that, I think also just really made it such a rich sketch for how short it was.
Yeah, they always nail those. I feel like there's always 100 details that no one will notice, but are there for the two people that do. And I love that they always go the
Yes.
extra mile for that.
Yes. Yes.
All right, so a big one there. Let's move along. It's up, and it's out of here. Except that it's not. And this announcer's on methamphetamine. Where'd you land on this one?
I thought this was really funny. I also really laughed at this. I just want to say Natasha Lyonne can hold her own. I mean, not that we were surprised, but she really just sort of went for it in the best way. First of all, the concept was hilarious, being prescribed methamphetamines for cold medicine, and then she's obviously high. And going a million miles an hour. So I thought her commitment to telling these stories that are very inappropriate for a baseball game was hilarious and such a joy to watch. And then I also just really loved Mikey Day. Mikey Day, again, just really exemplified his pro commitment to a sketch. And even being the straight man, he was so funny. I think his lines sort of passing judgment or saying, please don't do that, or like, definitely not. Or Mickey, what's his name? The famous baseball player is well known for loving kids. So I thought this sketch was such a win all the way around. And James Austin Johnson, I think also too carried it as this sort of slightly dorky advertiser. So all in all, a big win for me.
Yeah, another one where I don't know, I think Natasha did really great work here, but I felt like there were some things that held me back from just really loving it. And I'm starting to think the more we talk, maybe it's just that I was too emotional.
So sorry.
I think like the whole everybody leaving thing, I think on some level I was just like, yeah, the whole episode needs to just be goodbyes, and I just wasn't interested in anything else. Maybe.
Why are you all having fun? I just
can we not cry at the end of every sketch? I'm confused what I'm watching.
Yeah.
But no, I thought this was good because I like the idea of this a lot of like drugs that we know are very harmful now used to just like be prescribed. Like there was cocaine in Coca-Cola. So I love that they're like, yeah, what must that have been like? And I think that putting that on a radio announcer is like a super solid idea. I think the setup here is great. And I think Natasha, for what she was given, like really committed and delivered it. But I would have loved to see just like a little like more meth head things. Like, because like, I mean, I get it's a delicate balance because you don't want to make fun of people with like addiction issues. Yeah. But I think maybe like they could have gone a little further. So like, because right now it sort of stays in like, what crazy thing will he say because he has no inhibitions because he's on meth? And I just would have loved to see some like more like extreme like twitchiness and like hyperactivity and like maybe a little bit of paranoia thrown in. I just think that could have like, really taken it to like a good third gear.
That's
so, like,
true.
What's in there now is all like really funny. It's not that I wasn't laughing. I just like, I was waiting for that next heighten. And I didn't. And like him eating a baby is obviously really funny, but it felt on a similar level as the other things,
I hear that. I think she could have committed fully to that too, which would have been great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She definitely would have.
Yeah.
She would have gotten naked if they asked her to.
Oh,
I don't
100%.
think she had any inhibition. So slightly mixed reviews, but we're still having fun. So let's keep going. Tweedledee-dum, Tweedledee-doo. The Therese Henderson trio is back. What'd you make of this one?
Well, I think this is where we'll differ here. We'll do a switcheroo. Okay. I do not get these sketches. I know it's a running song thing with Keaton. And I know they've done sketches before where it's like the personal life gets mixed into the live performance. For me, it's like there's not enough there. It's not, I don't know what the weird thing is, I guess, to me. Not that is not clear enough. So it's sort of weird, yes, that like she has an ex-boyfriend going crazy. That's not like the weirdest thing. And it's not that weird that like your bandmates would want to know about it. And it's not that weird. Like even like Keenan's character isn't really that weird for having like some fake designer stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
all like, it wasn't like I didn't enjoy watching it, but I personally was not like cackling. I love Keenan and I love Kyle Mooney and Cecily and Natasha Lyonne, obviously. So I enjoyed watching it, but it wasn't enough of like a clear game or something unusual for me to make it a strong sketch. And in my
Yeah.
humble opinion.
I think that's fair. You're right. Well, I don't know. You're not entirely right.
Okay.
Historically, I have enjoyed these.
Okay.
Not necessarily for their brilliant writing by any means, but just because they're silly and stupid and fun, and like Keenan
Yeah.
can sell it. So
Yeah.
like I really also, I'm a little biased. I really like the Seth Meyers one because like I think I was at the dress rehearsal for that one, so that always like makes it hold kind of a special place.
Mhm.
And that was one where he said like not my Gucci shoes, and like I don't know, the way he said it was just really funny. So like yeah, like you're right. Like it doesn't have a strong game. It's not a premise that you're like, oh, that's so smart. It's just it lives solely in, first of all, usually being in the back half of the show, and just being silly and dumb, and Keenan being silly and dumb, and we
Right.
like seeing that sometimes.
Yeah.
But this one, I don't know. This one didn't quite reach the fever dream chaos of the other ones for me.
Right.
And I think it's because like I tried to nail down what was different about it, and I think it's they were experiencing something together live as it happened, watching the Nest Cam, whereas usually it's like they're sort of hashing out something that happened earlier, and I think that's more fun. And then like at the end, there's an element that like happens, you know, in the moment. So like with the Seth Meyers one, it's like, well, you were weird in the car. Do you have that thing? Did the doctor call? And like they have this whole
Right.
back and forth about things that have already happened. And then the doctor calls and says they have to burn all their clothes. And he's like, not my Gucci shoes. But in
Yeah.
this one, they're Keenan and Natasha's dynamic wasn't quite as chaotic, and she also sort of went along with him a little more. Whereas I feel like with Eddie Murphy and Seth Meyers, they fought him. Their
Yeah.
characters fought him more.
That's true.
So that made it a little bit more fun. So like this one, I don't know, it didn't hit the heights that some of those others have for me. So yeah, it had some good moments, but it wasn't my favorite iteration.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point too about the lack of conflict. That is kind of true. It all felt pretty low stakes
Hmm.
until the burning, but even that was sort of light and fun or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Something in their
All right.
dynamic wasn't quite as
Yeah.
good as others. All right. Well,
All right.
fair enough. That's where we landed. So a little bit of a miss on Therese Henderson. Let's talk about the next one. Time to catch up with the class of 2002. But the less said about Rachel Finster, the better. This one was great. I loved this one so much. Dismukes' narration was gold. He nailed it. And I love those twists and turns, especially so like the one that stands out was I believe it was Kate McKinnon's character. She married a minor, and then your brain as the viewer automatically goes like, "Oh no!" And then he says a coal miner, and you're like, "Oh!" And then you're like, "Oh, the joke is that I assumed the worst thing." And then he throws in that was 16, and you're like, oh, I was right. So then it was like 3 punchlines in one joke, and that's just so brilliant. So yeah, I think this is an example of some like really great writing, and I love every new way they found to circle back to Rachel Finster was so fun. I think this was just super creative and well written. Are you on the same page with me?
100% on the same page. I thought it was just so well written and so funny. And again, like not I think like it again just points to like the concept alone is not super complicated. It's that there was one person in this class that really was the downfall of the entire class. But yeah, the way they told it and the way they sort of like slowly revealed. And also I just loved it on top of these like slow motion, like early 2000s fashions and dancing. This was like a beautiful piece of art. It was so funny and beautiful to watch and so many twists and turns, beautifully written. Yeah, loved it. Loved it. And I want to give a big shout out to the hair and makeup team. I mean, I loved everybody's hairstyles and dresses. I mean, they crushed it. It was so funny. And I also think the contrast to the the joy of the dance,
Mhm.
and everybody really embodied the pure joy in contrast to the dark turns
Mhm.
their
Yeah, like, you
lives
had
took. So
Bowen was just, like, having the time of his life dancing, and it's like he threw himself off the roof of the Winter Garden Theater. Um, that
yeah. And did you
juxtaposition's
actually
great.
hear why I didn't hear it till the second time because there was laughter and it was to protest the COVID
COVID
laws?
restrictions, yeah.
So dark.
So dark, I loved it.
Oh god, yeah.
Alright, so big home run there.
Big home run.
Okay, let's move along. Japanese Breakfast performs Be Sweet and Paprika. Did you enjoy this?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bop, it was like very alternative, like like easy listening, I loved the second song. It was such a beautiful set with all the lights. Really beautiful. I admittedly was not very familiar with her and the band, but I left this, which I think is a win, feeling like I want to look up her music and like listen to her in the background and like stuff like that. I thought I might add a fun fact. I was curious as to why the band is called Japanese Breakfast when she's Korean American,
Oh.
and it looked like the rest of the band was white. So I was trying to figure out why, and she is quoted in Teen Vogue in 2017 as saying something along the lines of she wanted two words, and one is sort of a generic, like happy word, cereal, and then the other she was trying to think of something that was sort of like generically exotic to the American public. So she thought Japanese. So then she combined the two.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting.
Band names are always so weird.
Yeah, I guess it's best not to like read into them too much. But I was like really curious about that. So
No, I
anyway.
appreciate that fact. That is interesting.
Mhm.
It's like I think Dave Grohl has said that if he knew they were gonna be so successful, he definitely would have picked a better name than the Foo Fighters.
That's really funny.
Because it's just sort of like this thing you pick very early on, and then like that's just kind of what you're stuck with. Um, so
That's probably true. That's probably
yeah.
what happened. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I liked both of these performances a lot. I think the production was great. Like those hanging light bulbs, like you mentioned, those were really cool, and they added a nice effect. In the first song they were more like, colorful, and then in the second
Yeah.
song they were all like yellow and more subdued. And I thought that really fit, the vibes of each song. I like that it's a full band. I like the white suits. I thought the first song was
Yeah.
really catchy. I thought it was really funky. It made me want to dance. I was having a good time. And then the second song was really powerful, and like it had this like very it's like almost melancholy, but like in a happy way pull and like vibe to
Mhm.
it. So I really liked that. I loved the brass that was in there. I thought that was a nice treat. So yeah, a lot to like here. I'm a new fan of Japanese Breakfast. All right, so a musical act that we have enjoyed. Let's get into Weekend Update. For their lead-in, Jost and Shay discuss monkeypox, Tucker Carlson's conspiracy theories, and Picasso's titty squid. Was this a strong outing?
Yeah, what a range after hearing you like give the roundup. It was quite a whirlwind of topics.
I didn't have to say the titty squid. I just really wanted to say titty squid.
Good choice. Good choice. Strong choice. I thought I don't, it wasn't their strongest Weekend Update. I felt.
Mhm.
But they had some good headlines to pull from. Some of them were like a little bit of a stretch. Where it like took a little while to get to the joke, but I always do love the sort of dumb jokes of like the like looks like a hot dog, like a face photoshopped onto a hot dog.
Mhm.
I love those jokes. So yeah, it was like an almost full win for me for Weekend Update. What about you?
Yeah, I thought it was all right. Not the strongest, not the weakest. Pretty standard affair here. I thought they hit a really nice run in between Guy Who Just Bought a Boat and the Trend Forecasters. That's where like the Frontier Airlines not having a doctor joke was. That was great. And then
Yeah.
like Queen Elizabeth tied to the train tracks.
Yeah, that's
which
true. That was funny.
I loved that joke so much. That was so funny. And then I love that he was like, "It's not real." I love it when Che like kind of pokes back at the audience. That's a good
Yes.
time. One thing in here that happened that I wish they would do more of is Che told two different punchlines with one story. So I forget what it was, something about the oldest lady to get a diploma or something like that. And he like set it up, he told a joke, and then he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do it again," and then did it again. And I love that. And I think that allows for such a nice like energy build and like a quick pace thing. I wish they would do that more. I think that could be so fun. So I was really happy to see that. So yeah, decent normal fare. We pretty much always expect and get a win from Jost and Che. They don't miss often. So let's talk about the guy who just bought a boat. His penne is angel hair. Did you like this appearance of guy who just bought a boat?
Yeah, I think you raise a good point about Colin and Che, and that we have gotten really spoiled with how good their work is. And I think similarly with Guy Who Bought a Boat, I feel like they keep finding new angles, and it could be so old and dead by now, but then finding this new European travel and then finding another language to put double entendres in. I mean, pretty freaking brilliant in my opinion. So the fact that we could find like double sexual meanings in Naples and like different pastas, and I mean, this was so funny and brilliant, and I feel like it's like they keep like fine wine. Guy with a boat just keeps getting better, you know?
Yep.
I'm always excited when he comes on for something new. And what's so amazing about it is like I have to watch it like twice to get all the jokes, you know,
Mhm.
because there's just so many packed in so quickly. And so I almost always love it like the second or third time I watch it.
Mhm.
And it would almost be great to like have the transcript or like have the printout of the monologue to read because I bet it's just so good. So this
Mhm.
was a huge win for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was a very strong outing of this character. They all are. Like the
Yeah.
fact that they keep it this good, the fact that they keep coming up with new rhymes and puns is truly amazing. It's so impressive. I love that they threw in this angle of like summer travel. I think that was a great way to keep it
Yeah.
fresh because I mean, he always has like some reason he's coming out, right? But this one like felt more unique and felt like it gave them more new things to do with it because they got to just get all in all those like European travel-y things. Like I thought the Duolingo joke was great. One thing that I did notice this time is that normally Alex will sort of power through the lines and like
Mm.
just like really get a run out like whatever it was about like touch her navel so she'll go goo goo gaga or whatever.
Yeah.
Like gobbledygook, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But like he paused like after each punchline. And I thought that sort of took away from it because to me, I think it is so funny the way he normally gets it, and it's like a tongue twister, you know.
Mm.
Um,
That's
and like,
interesting. I felt like it did give the audience some time to laugh, which
mhm.
I appreciated, I guess.
Like yeah, like I get it because like the bright side of that is the audience was responding heavily to every single punchline. Like
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I felt like I liked the pace when he would like just kind of power through it. So I don't know. Like I think it speaks to the fact that there are 5 punchlines in every line, and that's really great writing, and he always delivers it really well. But I don't know, I just sort of wondered if that ultimately took away from whatever the last punchline was, if it needed to be in that rhythm. But I'm always so impressed with the writing of these and Alex's delivery of these. I think they're really good, and this was definitely in line with that.
Yes.
All right, let's keep going. In 10 great years, Aidy Bryant says goodbye with the trend forecasters. Now go to bed, bitch. This was so sweet, so
Wait,
contagiously fun.
is Aidy leaving too?
Yeah.
No. Okay, I interrupted you. Go on.
Yeah, this was so sweet and contagiously fun. I thought this definitely reached the heights of the original outing of the trend forecasters. I thought Aidy and Bowen were clearly having the time of their lives, and I think that's the thing that sells this piece is that fun. The second outing didn't feel like it had the same energy or spontaneity to it, but it really came back in this third outing, and I loved it. I loved it. I loved it, and I love Aidy Bryant. I when I started writing sketch, I think for a few years, subconsciously, I wrote everything for Kate and Aidy because I just loved them so much, and I think Aidy has some of the most amazing line deliveries ever. She can sell such a broad range of roles and she does it so well. She's in so many of my favorite sketches, and even though she's been on for a while, just like a few less episodes than Kate, because Kate came in at like the end of one season and then Aidy started at the beginning of the next. I'm surprised she's leaving because it really felt like she got a second wind this season.
Yeah.
She seemed like she was in her element. She had teamed up with Celeste Yim and was doing a lot of stuff with them and Bowen, and like kind of finding a new voice and a new role in the show that was like fresh and exciting. So I was surprised. I kind of thought we might get one more year of Aidy. But I'm really sad to see Aidy go because as much as I loved Kate, it did feel like it was time for Kate, and I wasn't quite there with Aidy yet. So this one hit me hard. Little baby Aidy, we all love her. How did you feel about it?
Well, now that I know that, I mean, I will say just objectively, I think this was my favorite, and I'm not just saying this because you just told me that Aidy's leaving. This was my favorite go of this act that they do together, because I felt like the last time or last couple of times, how many times have they done it?
I think this was the third.
The third, okay. For whatever reason, the other times felt kind of messy to me, if I'm being honest. Like I know they were having fun and I liked watching it because they were having fun, but I couldn't quite. It just didn't feel totally fleshed out or like fully, and I think it just was a little messy in their delivery, even though they were having fun, but I couldn't always understand what they were saying or like get the gist. And it felt like it was like a joke that I was not in on. And I feel like sometimes the best comedy is the kind where you feel like you're in on a private joke, but you as the audience member want to feel like you're in on it. Whereas like the past couple of times it felt like a joke that only they were in on. And I didn't really get what was funny. This time I felt very much like I was more in it and I got it. And maybe it was sort of like clearer like clearer punchlines or something. Like I guess I really sort of got the game and premise this time a little bit more. And it felt like they were also just super in sync in their deliveries and everything about it. So I did find it really fun. And I also love that they brought Che in at the end. And I thought it was a really funny, sweet piece. And now that I know it was her last, then it just makes it even sweeter. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and you could sort of see Colin looking on, like when it cut back to him, he took a minute before he continued. Like I think he was feeling kind of emotional about everything too. So it's a big night.
Oh.
Well, let's get into our other goodbyes. Lauren gifted him a sock, finally setting Pete Davidson free. How'd you feel about Pete's goodbye?
Yeah, that was like the joke of the night, honestly. That was hilarious. And I loved Colin looking out of the audience like, did you all get it? Oh, Harry Potter fans here. Like, you guys got it. That was great. Yeah, I mean, I will say of Pete's desk monologues, this wasn't my favorite. It didn't feel like his strongest, but it felt like a nice sum up of his time there. And obviously an ode to Lauren in the best, like, in a Pete way that felt genuine. And he had some, good zinger jokes in there about, the eye patch and things. I don't know why he brought that back in, if I'm being honest. I kind of was
I think he's still salty about it.
Clearly, yeah.
Rightfully so, though.
Yeah, I know.
I agree.
I don't know. The whole thing was it's just like, yeah, but that's okay. Yeah, was it my favorite desk piece of his? No, but I thought it was a really sweet send off. So, yeah, I landed in the middle. I love Pete, so yeah.
Yeah, I think this had some good jokes, mainly the sock one. But I don't know, it didn't pack the same 1-2 punch of funny and emotion that I thought the other two goodbyes we got did.
Yeah.
But I think that could also just be because I feel annoyed at Pete. Obviously, I don't know that man, and I do not know the full situation.
To be
But
clear.
I'm not a crazy person. I understand that I don't know the details, but from the outside, it just feels kind of shitty that he just sort of pieced out for like half the season. But like also from a viewer's perspective,
Yeah.
it came right when he was like hitting his groove. I spent so much time the first half of the season praising like, "Oh my god, Pete's here. Pete's acting. Pete's doing impressions. This is great."
Yeah.
More
Yeah.
Pete finally found his footing on the show. Like, wow, it took him a while, but he's here. I'm excited to see what Pete's gonna do now. And then he just sort of disappeared. So like I guess I felt personally disappointed.
Yeah. Here
I'm
you
just
were
gonna-
giving him all this praise.
Yeah. He really took my opinion.
And we'll hate him forever for that.
Yeah. But
Sorry.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
like I don't know. So I was having some mixed feelings about like Pete's commitment to the show, and then like, you know, obviously all of the tabloid fodder and whatnot. So I think that does affect my connection to the piece. But I also sort of felt like at the end when he was supposed to kind of get emotional, like it was written in such a way that he was supposed to like kind of dig in and like be a little vulnerable. It felt like he sort of shrugged it off and pushed away from doing that, even though it was written for him to do that.
Oh, he's not going to do that. We all know.
But hey, you say that, but at the end of last season, he did an update piece where he did do that, and it was actually really beautiful and lovely, and like that was the better goodbye to me. So I don't know. Maybe he's just been a little checked out since then. Maybe he'd never planned to come back for another season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. So Pete's piece, it had some good moments. I'm on one level like sad to see him go, but on another level like know that he's ready. Like he very clearly wants to move on to other things. So, you know, I think he's got that show in the works. I'll watch it. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's get into the back half of the show. And by back half, I do mean like back quarter because update was so long. Oh no, is this man dead? Only one way to find out, and it's to tickle him with another cameo from Fred Armisen. This was so stupid. I loved it. Like this premise is absolutely bananas. It makes no sense. It's like not smart, but the performances just sold it.
Yeah,
Like,
thank God. I mean,
thank God. Like, it's one of those sketches where everything that goes wrong with it is what ends up making it successful.
Yeah.
Like, if nothing had gone wrong while they were doing this, it would have just been like, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
But Heidi dropping that mixer and falling down was so funny.
That
like
made it,
she was cracking up, and that
Yeah.
made the sketch for me. That's all I needed. Cecily Ego and Heidi just palling around. Okay, I'll watch it. That's contagious. But yeah, like the premise was lacking. I can only assume that like Natasha Lyonne like walked in on Monday and was like, "Hey, guess what? I'm not ticklish. Do what you will." And they're like,
But she kind of started laughing when Fred,
She did.
I think like Fred was trying to get her to laugh, which was funny to watch.
Fred
too.
knew like the one spot that she
Yeah.
is secretly ticklish. But I like that the whole thing relies on the fun of seeing if they can like get her to break by tickling her. Like, I don't know. It's like bizarre. It's not brilliant sketch comedy, but it's fun, and that's what we're ultimately here for. So like, I don't know. It won me over, even though it is just so stupid. What did you think?
Yeah, I don't know if it quite won me over, but like I definitely was like, what did I just watch? But yeah, I think those two moments that you named brought it through. And I was happy to see Fred too. Yeah, I don't know. I think you covered all the bases. There just really wasn't much there, and it just felt like, what? Like every line they'd say, I'd be like, what? And I guess that was sort of the whole idea is like, what is the opposite? It almost felt like they were like, hey, what's the opposite of the next logical step? Like somebody would do in this situation. And I guess maybe, and I think like knowing that makes it funny. Yeah, it was still fun to watch, but I was definitely, this was still, yeah. Just like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think not quite knowing what to say about it really encapsulates it quite well.
Yeah. But man, the commitment to the costumes and set, again, great.
Yeah.
Carried it.
Like SNL's production department will never be lacking. That
No.
we know for sure.
Seriously.
And just amazing that they can do it. You know, they don't know which things they're producing until Wednesday night, like late Wednesday night, and then the set's
Insane.
ready by Saturday. That's crazy.
Insane.
Okay, so head scratcher, but still fun, but just not really sure what to make of it. Let's talk about the Tinder one. Gray adult pigtails. You never stopped smoking pot, so why should your hair? With a cameo from Michelle from Japanese Breakfast. Was this one a win?
This was a win for me, for sure. I think, I love when they do these sketches for such a specific demographic and like a fashion choice that like you've seen, but you haven't expressly thought through or said out loud all of those thoughts or like what that means. And this brings it to life. And it's just so funny because it's like dead on, but you wouldn't have thought of it. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? So like,
yeah,
exactly. Like I think, yeah, I see gray haired pigtails and like I immediately think of the type of person who would have those. And I think they just nailed it. And it was so funny. And then I just loved all the twists of like Richard is everybody's boyfriend. And again, Kyle Mooney is just such a hero. Like he's so funny in that. Like, and he doesn't take away or like overshine. He like perfectly is that character. This is so funny to me. This is one of my favorite sketches and of the night. And so this was a huge, huge win for me. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I'm always a fan of a Kate and Aidy duo like commercial sketch. So it's really nice that we got this last one. I love that. It made me emotional again. And like you said, I think what's great about these is those and just insanely specific observations and jokes, like the Rasta hat and the patchwork bag. They showed that bag, and I immediately went, "Oh my God, you're right. You're so right." And it's picking up on those things that we've all observed but never quite realized or put together, and just showing it in front of us plain and like spelling out these things go together, and you're like, oh my God, they do. That's so funny. And it's just amazing and great that they're able to continue to find those observations and those specifics. It's really a testament to the writing. I don't know for sure the writing credit on this one, but I would just bet my life that Allison Gates did it. Her and Anna Dresden just really wrote a lot of these, and just she seems to have like really keen observations. So really great stuff here. And I guess this is Kyle's send off. Unless they release a cut for timepiece, which honestly would be very fitting.
I know, poor Kyle.
I guess this is his goodbye, and I don't know. I think it's time for Kyle to go. I was surprised that he didn't leave with Beck. But then he ended up bringing some really great stuff this season, so it worked out. I was ultimately like really glad that he stuck around because I thought he was sort of him and Beck are obviously great together, but without Beck, it seemed like he was able to like break free a little bit and do some more stuff. So it was really cool. But I think he's got bigger things in store. I think he's probably going to do more movies. He's got that sketch show on Netflix. So I'm really excited I'm ready and excited to see the next phase of Kyle Mooney post SNL. I think it's going to be really great and just stuff where he gets to really shine and like be himself and bring his more unique sense of humor to it than he got to on SNL.
I would agree because I think, as I've said multiple times tonight, I think he is sort of an unsung hero, and he is one of those people that you can put into a sketch and you just know he's gonna sell it, and he won't steal focus. I think that can sometimes happen with like really strong character type actors. It's like, and it's an ensemble cast, and I think he always fully commits. And to your point, he does have such a unique sense of humor and unique style of comedy, and I think sometimes his sketches wouldn't totally land. And so I think having a place where he can really build his voice and make that his own, I bet will be amazing. So I'm excited to see what he does too.
For sure. We will definitely miss our four departing cast members, but that is the end of the rundown. Let's talk about these overall ratings. Charlotte, what is your moment of the night?
My moment of the night is going to be Kate leaving and saying live from New York at Saturday night.
Mhm.
I mean, I knew it as soon as I saw it. It was just a beautiful send off. And also still in the world. Like, that's why it was so brilliant. It was like still in the world of the sketch, this sketch that has become iconic and a character that's become iconic. And then she herself has become iconic as an SNL cast member and an actor in her own right. So that was my beautiful moment of the night. What about you?
Same. Kate's goodbye takes it by a long shot. Obviously, like I said, Kate McKinnon is such a special performer to me. She just really drew me in. And I've loved everything she's done. On the show and off. So I don't know, it was really great. And like I said before, it was just so lovely that not only did they do like an encore of her best character, but like made it a goodbye. She got
Yeah.
that moment solo on screen to like say thank you. And that was just so beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah. And it also was like what the people wanted to. You know, it's like
Right.
we all were so happy to have another alien encounter sketch. So
Yeah.
So thank you also, Kate, for doing that for us.
Thank you, Kate, Mikey Streeter. Thank you for making that happen. We love it.
Seriously.
Let's talk about our best sketch. What was yours?
Do you want to go first?
Why can you never pick a best sketch?
Because I'm tied between two.
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay.
This is tricky because there's a lot of meta layers that go into this, right? Like we have, for instance, is Close Encounters the best sketch of the night? As far as just like writing and performance, like no. But it's like Kate's send-off, so that makes it pretty special, right? Same with like the trend forecasters or like Pete's thing. So like I don't know. I want to strip that back and I want to say, with none of that sort of meta commentary, what's going on in real world stuff, the best sketch, the strongest sketch of the night was The Places We'll Go, the prom one. I think that one is the strongest and is so funny and just so well made and just new and fresh. And I love to see it. It's one that I'll definitely be sharing with people. So yeah, I'm gonna give best sketch to The Places We'll Go. Does that help you decide?
Yeah. I mean, that was up there for me. And I think you hit the nail on the head with all of that. I especially I want to echo what you said about the fresh take. It felt very fresh and new and really funny. In that case, I'm gonna go with, again, stripping away all the meta layers, because I agree with you. There are things that I was like, oh, I loved that, but really looking at it objectively, I thought I really loved the Great Pigtails because of the reasons I said earlier, in that it felt so observant and smart and funny. It wasn't overly complicated. It felt like everybody in it was great. But I guess like bringing in sort of the meta details, it did feel like they were all having a lot of fun on there together, which is also a joy to watch. So it really sort of like brought in everything that's like great to watch about live sketch comedy, which is like great writing, great costumes and hair and makeup, really funny concept, not overly complicated, kept making me laugh, felt like something I could relate to because I've seen that. It just brought all that together, and then also everybody having fun together. So for me, that was my best sketch of the night.
Fair enough. Let's talk about MVP. Who is it?
God, it's so hard. I feel like because like it was pretty evenly distributed, in that there wasn't a couple of cast members that were in a lot of sketches, which isn't fair to that. Like that's so anyway, not that they really placed my vote with a lot of weight, but I think I'm going to say Natasha Lyonne, because she really was, obviously in a lot of sketches, and she really brought a unique commitment and take, and she was a joy to watch. She didn't fall flat. A lot of times what can happen is like TV and movie actors can sometimes not really hold themselves as well to a live audience, and she can. But I know she's done theater, so that makes sense. So I felt like she really, in every sketch she was in, she won, and I appreciated her range. And sorry, last thing is it's a lot of pressure to do a finale, to do the SNL finale, and to go in knowing that these longtime cast members who are beloved by fans are leaving. So that's just like a lot to go into, and I felt like she really held her own. She didn't try to do too much or like try to like either steal focus from them or to like almost like be like give to them, if that makes sense. I feel like she just went in and did her thing and allowed them to shine as they chose to. So I just respected her a lot for how she handled that.
Yeah, because that is an interesting position to be put in. Where like you're the host, it is supposed to kind of be about you, but you do have to relinquish that a little bit because to the fans of the show, the bigger thing is everybody but you. So she did handle that really well. You're right. But I'm going to give my MVP to little baby Aidy. I love Aidy Bryant so much.
Yes, I know,
And
same.
she obviously like with the trend forecasters was great. She was having fun. It was a good send off. But then we also had, the iconic her part in the duo, the Kate Aidy duo. We had her in the cold
Yeah.
open. And then in the little thing of she was in the I'm stupid PSA, just giving those lines like only Aidy Bryant can.
Yeah.
No one else can say, my son's wife is a smart person. She's tearing us apart the way that Aidy will deliver it. It will not get the same laugh with anyone else saying it. So she just had those moments that were so uniquely Aidy, plus like the meta factor of her goodbye. And I just think she's going to be so missed. So MVP to Aidy. Time for the big one. On a scale of classic, great, decent, weak, or train wreck, how would you rate this episode?
Okay. I might go classic because there really weren't that many duds. I thought they handled the send-offs really well. They brought back a classic and did it beautifully. They brought back another classic in Boat Guy. They brought back the trend forecasters. They brought back the band. They brought back Fred Armisen. Pete's desk piece. Cut for time, but Pete did another rap. I just felt like the sketches that were new felt really new and fresh. And I think this will be remembered as like a great send-off episode for years to come. And I think there will be a lot of sketches in this that are shared often. So, like, even though the methamphetamine announcer was not either of our favorites, I think that will be shared a lot. My point being that even like our non-favorites were still great sketches and clear premises and games, and I think will be shared. So I'm, based on those criteria, going to give this a classic.
Fair enough.
Which is high praise, I know, but
no, I'm going classic. It's look, with all of the meta stuff stripped aside, it's in no way a classic. With all of that added in, it is definitely a classic.
But I think I agree with you. That's the point. Is like they did. I'll let you speak. Yeah.
This is the goodbye episode to big names. I mean, Kate, Aidy, Pete are huge. Kyle, less of like a household name, but to the community is a big deal. And most of them got a special moment to say goodbye, and that is just really special. And I think that's that makes it a classic no matter what happens. And there were a few episodes this season that if I could go back and amend my thing, I think would fall into classic, but I'm always afraid to give things a classic. So this is sort of I also can use this as my apology classic episode.
Yeah.
But no, I think Kate McKinnon's last episode would have been a classic for me no matter what.
Yeah.
Add on top of that Aidy. Oh my God, this is a big deal now.
It hurts.
And then you get, Pete saying goodbye. You get a Kyle send off. I think, yeah, this is classic end of an era in a lot of ways. It's not everybody turning over. I think we'll probably see more departures before the next season starts. But it's definitely a big shakeup of some really big names. It's kind of sad. It's kind of heavy. But it's good. But it's happy. Everyone.
Yeah.
It's not anybody leaving prematurely. It's
Right.
it's everybody that's leaving had a really great run, and it has like so many like bigger and better things to do. So yeah, I don't know. I think that makes for a classic. I'm glad we're agreed on that. All
Yay.
right. Well, that's the end of it. That's the season finale. It's a classic. We said goodbye to a lot of people. We processed a lot of emotions. Thank you so much for being here, Charlotte. This was fun.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. Seriously, an honor to discuss the last show of the season and with so many departures.
Yeah.
And it was a classic episode.
Classic.
So I was very happy to be here. Thank you.
I'm just so grateful I didn't cry on the podcast. That would have been so embarrassing.
Yeah, seriously. I'm kidding.
So what do you have going on?
Well, absolutely. So Catherine and I have our lit comedy sketch show this coming Wednesday at 8 p.m. on YouTube Live, which makes it very easy to tune in from wherever you are. So if you search on YouTube, Laugh Index Theater in parentheses lit, L-I-T, you can.
Do you have to put the parentheses? I feel like you could just put
I don't
Laugh
know.
Index Theater.
Probably you could just search Laugh Index Theater. Anyway, you can then set a reminder for the upcoming live stream this Wednesday at 8 p.m., May 25th. Should be really funny. So check it out.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. We've got some really good stuff in the pipeline, some very topical stuff. We've got some pro-choice propaganda for you.
No.
It's going to be a great time. But yeah, I'm excited for that. The following week on June 1st, I have a Boogie Manja show with my team Howdy Neighbor. That's at 9 p.m. on twitch.tv/Boogie Manja. That is BOOGIEMANJA. I have 2 sketches I wrote that will be in this show, so I'm very excited about that. And I would love to see you all in the chat. All right. Well, this was fun. Thank you again for being here. And that is a wrap. Thanks to Charlotte O'Trimba. And thanks as well to our most generous patrons, Neil Weinstein, Justin Gardner, Grace Kogan, and Brian Clark. If you're enjoying our show, please subscribe on YouTube or wherever better podcasts can be found. Your subscription helps us grow, and your support is greatly appreciated. We'll be back this summer with vintage episodes, cut for time reviews, and more. But until then, this has been episode number 162 of the Saturday Night Live Afterparty podcast. I'm Catherine Coleman. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.